Welcome to Carrie Ann Conversations, Journey to Wellness. I believe that the journey to wellness is an individual one, and that only you truly know what's best for you. But how can you know what's good for you if you've never heard about it or haven't had access to the information? That is why I started this series. My hope is that you'll learn something new in every one of these conversations that will help get you one step closer to your wellness goals. Today, I'm talking with someone whose healing power I have experienced firsthand. I was introduced to him through Julianne Hough, who you know from Dancing with the Stars, and you may know him from Gwyneth Paltrow's The Goop Lab on Netflix. He is an energy practitioner, an author, and an educator who's worked with thousands of people from more than 50 countries, including celebrities, entrepreneurs, athletes, influencers, and thought leaders. He is the founder of the Energy Flow Formula, and I can't wait for him to share why energy is such a key aspect of wellness. So please welcome the amazing Dr. Dr Amaral.
Thanks for having me, Carrie Ann. First of all, thank you for everything that you're doing and sharing with this journey that you're on. And sharing with people what you're going through and how your ups and downs and just how you're working and where your challenges are and what you're finding. So it's an honor to be here and to be able to talk about what people can do that they might not be aware of, and you're leading the charge in that. So.
Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. I mean, you definitely helped get me to this place because of the work that we've done together. We've been working together for how many years now? It's been about three?
It's been a few years.
Yeah, and the work that we've done has been incredible and profound, and I think it also helped give me the courage to do this digital series, which is all about sharing my journey to wellness and hopes to inspire other people in their journey to wellness, because I think we're all struggling. We just came out of a pandemic. We're not quite out of it yet. There's lots of distress in the world, right? And I think it's important to share whatever modalities of healing that we can to help people. It's our duty, I think.
Yeah.
So we just did an amazing healing. We haven't actually seen each other for 8 months, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that.
Okay.
So when I started the healing, I was actually thinking, I'm feeling really good today. I wonder if there's going to be much shift, right, in my state. And I was like, maybe I don't even need a healing. I did think that this morning. And then what was fascinating is as soon as we started, within like the first 3 or 4 minutes, tears. And I was caught off guard. And then more tears. And I was more caught off guard. And then it just felt wonderful. Like I didn't realize that there was sadness trapped. I didn't realize that I was obviously grieving for something. But I'm curious to know what is it like for you, and what are you doing to me, and how does that work? How did you bring that out of me? I didn't even know it was there.
There's a lot in that. We hold bound up energy in our bodies. We that's part of the experience of fight, flight, or reactivity or trauma, where sometimes we just don't even know that we're in that state. There's a lot going on in the world right now, like we all know. So collectively, the pandemic, the stress that people are having around finances, relationships, there's been more challenges in relationships for people that are they spend more time together.
Right.
And they're, people starting to get fatigued by not the uncertainty.
Yes.
And just the not knowing of what's going to happen, and there's a lot of anxiety, and there's people depressed, and there's people that are there's a lot that's being held right now, like in people's beings and bodies, and it's not just about the individual. It's something that's collectively happening. So a lot of people don't even know that they're holding the amount of stress and tension that they are.
Right.
And so that's some of that where like you might have been releasing and having a discharge of some emotion and energy that wasn't even a personal thing about something going on for you, but it was just about something you were feeling that was happening in the collective consciousness of our culture and in the world. And sometimes we are, we're taking something on in a way just because we're immersed in it and we don't even realize it. So like part of what I'm doing is creating an opportunity for you to have a new perspective, have more awareness, and feel what you're feeling that you might not have felt because you overrode it with your mind because you were not connected to it.
In some ways, we have to shut it down so that we can survive. Right?
Exactly. So
we mask it in a way.
Yeah, like if we felt everything, there's, millions and millions of bits of information that are coming into our nervous system, and in every moment are off the charts, but we can only process a very tiny fraction of that. So we can't necessarily be present with everything that we're experiencing and feeling. And so sometimes the session and this kind of work is about waking up to feeling more of what's there that you weren't tuned into. And then by being aware of it, just awareness in and of itself allows things to start transforming. So you become aware of a pattern, and it's like, oh, I didn't even realize I was holding that, and it can just fall away.
Yeah, I think the sadness, though, now that you put it that way, that I was experiencing is watching some of the imagery of what's going on globally in this world right now is breaking my heart. And I think I'm not alone in that. And I guess it's one of those things that, I'm only able to change and shift the things that are sort of in my world. That's what I do. I try to focus here, because otherwise sometimes I get overwhelmed when I think too much about all that's happening. And I've been really sad about all of that. And then I also, in my personal life, earlier on in the pandemic, I think right around when we last saw each other, a relationship of mine was not, it was like heading towards the end of that chapter. And it was a beautiful relationship, and it was a beautiful ending, and it's all good, but there's still sadness in that. How do you sense the sadness? Because you work with energy. And I think this is what I want people to gain from this conversation, is understanding how important energy is and acknowledging it and understanding your own energy in your path to wellness.
I think I'm really glad you're bringing this up, because energy isn't just something that's outside of us, or something we add to our life, or some, work that we're doing on something that's separate from us. Like, really every function in our lives is based on exchanges of energy. So when you have a strong feeling and it finally expresses as emotion, that's a movement or discharge of energy. When you can't, when you're feeling something that you're not really aware you're feeling, or don't feel safe to let it move through you, that's bound up energy.
Wait, go back to say that again. So when sometimes we don't feel safe to let energy flow. What do you mean by that?
So there's this is culture and conditioning, the way we were raised, the people that we spend time in proximity with, our parents, our coworkers, like in the environment that we're in, that kind of can determine what's appropriate and not appropriate, or what you can feel and express. Some people, they learn that you can't be angry. So if you ever make a sound or a movement that's like angry, it's like, you stop that right now. And some people, it's if they feel sadness or weakness, it's like, suck it up, like pull it together, don't show that, get your explicit together and do it, right? And so
get your act
yes,
together.
so there's that we learn, we're conditioned, we learn how to behave so that we get approval, we get love, we feel connected, and that oftentimes means overriding what we're actually experiencing. And so when we aren't able to like move that and express it in some way, that's energy that's built up in the muscles and the tendons and the spinal cord, in the body will hold that tension physically. And so that's the relationship between what we're feeling and our emotions and energy. Energy that can't move freely becomes physical tension. The breath gets more shallow, everybody tightens up, we feel pressure, we might feel anxious, we might feel a heaviness, a kind of a lethargy, right? Because we're bound up. When we are able to express, that's energy flowing freely. That's basically what emotion is. It's energy and motion with sound and movement. So that's why dance is so, right?
Yes.
It's like it's an expression of the natural state our body wants to go and when energy is flowing.
Often when I'm on your table and working with you, I feel like I'm dancing, and it's the best feeling in the world. Because when I was I don't remember what age I was, when I couldn't dance anymore because I was diagnosed with some condition that actually I'm getting through now, and I'm on the other side of it. I'm not believing the idea and holding that energy in my body. Dance has always been the most healing thing for me. And stopping that stopped my energy flow. And that's when I started to get sick, which is really interesting, because then that goes back to what people talk about, like exercise, why we need exercise. You know, I don't even know if fitness experts all knew what they were saying, but it's really about what you're talking about, like motion, letting the flow of your energy, letting your body stay in a constant state of, like it should be able to move, right?
Yeah, expression, you know, expression of our movement of our body with presence and connection. So it's not an overriding to just do a physical activity. It's are you present with what you're feeling? Are you able to let that move through you? And that's why, you know, these expressive forms of dance are often so powerful for people. And sometimes it's like it's stopping. I mean, sometimes the way that energy can move more freely and release is stopping doing what you're doing and just being with what you're feeling, and just not trying to, you know, distract yourself with action. So there's an element of like awareness is really important for you to begin to recognize, what do I need right now? Do I need to move? Do I need to dance? Do I need to express? Or do I need to be still? And there's a timing for everything. So that's one of the things that, you know, in working with you, for example, we often, I go into like the energy field around your body, and there's like, there's a stillness and an openness, and then movement starts happening. It's like your dance comes out of this deep stillness, which is an interesting kind of paradox. But as we get to these universal truths, they're always paradoxes.
Yes, for sure. You know, as talking about universal truth, and we were talking earlier about cultural sort of pressure to be certain ways, right? And then how that dims our real authentic self, right? Whether it's through social pressures or familial family pressures, or just your own ideas that you read somewhere, whether it's social media, and you impose those ideas. And it's really about being your authentic self and discovering who that is in every moment.
Yes.
And I know you talk about an energy blueprint, right? What is that? And how does that work for everybody?
What I call the energy blueprint is like, it's like the hardwiring you came into this, you know, world with. And everybody has a kind of a unique style and way of experiencing and processing life. And the blueprint has to do with sort of different frequencies or bandwidths or layers, you might call it, of the energy body. So there is a field of energy around the physical body that radiates out, and it can be many feet off the body. You can measure the electromagnetic field with instruments 3 to 5 feet or so off the body.
Is it like an aura?
It's like an aura.
Is it similar?
Yeah.
Okay.
The aura is another name for it. Some people call it the subtle body. Some people call it the subtle energy body. Some people call it the koshas in the Vedic tradition, like yoga. There are all different names, and in different cultures have different names for it. But there is a very it's a real thing, right? It's a non-thing.
Even though we can't see it, it's real, right?
And some people can, and we have our five senses. You know, some people can read or see auras, right? So our five senses pick up this subtle energy that is sort of in the invisible. It's another dimension. It's like you can't see radio waves, you can't see X-rays, you can't see infrared. There's so much of
but they're there, and they're working,
right? And they will affect you. If you're exposed to radiation, it will cause damage. If you tune your antenna into radio frequencies, they're there. You just set your antenna and you pick up those different frequencies. So the energies exist. We're just seeing a tiny bandwidth. Like we can only see a very, very small bandwidth of the visual field. Everything else that exists, from gamma radiation, which are really tiny waves, all the way out to radio waves, which like span mountains, like one wavelength of it. Like it's all there. So that's part of the energy body is like frequencies of energy that we oftentimes, most people don't see it, but some people do. Some people it's more of a feeling. Some people it's like a kinesthetic, it's a feeling. Some people hear sounds and tones, but we all have various ways of tuning into this like energy around us. There's actually research on the sense of being stared at. So people from around the world have an ability to sense if somebody's staring at them. And I'm sure,
or talking about you somewhere.
Right. And it could be like,
yeah, you can feel it.
and this is non-local, it's called. So it's not, it could be somewhere else in the world.
Yeah.
But even if somebody, and there's also more research on dogs knowing when their owners are coming home, even if they're 50 miles away and they leave the office, the dogs go off the couch. And so that's Rupert Sheldrake, who's a researcher who's written a book on dogs knowing that their owners are coming home. So there's some non-physical, some energetic, invisible field that we're tuned into, and this is really where things are going in the 21st century. There's a lot of movement into like what Nikola Tesla called the 21st century will be the age of energy.
Right.
We have devices now, MRIs, which measures fluctuations in energy that gives us a picture. So we're using tools to measure energy. We're going to be more and more using techniques and approaches that work with energy in a more conscious way. And the blueprint is my approach to that subtle energy body, and my way of working with that and helping people learn how to work with it themselves. Once you understand your blueprint, then there are certain practices that will help you. There are certain things that may not be positive for you to be doing. So once you understand what that blueprint is, you can begin to do self-care. Can we talk about your
let's
your
talk
blueprint?
about my blueprint.
Okay,
what is my blueprint?
All right, so for you, your blueprint. So there are these different aspects or levels or layers of your energy body, and I'll just kind of quickly run through them. There's what's called the etheric body or life force. So it's very close to the physical body. It's like that layer of energy when you just very lightly touch somebody. Maybe you're holding hand, right? You feel a little good.
I love. That's like my favorite kind of touch, actually. That like.
Yeah, there's a little vibration or heat or a sense of yes. So that vital energy is like not only in the physical body, but it's also in all life. So plants and animals, and so that's why sometimes when someone's they're feeling low energy and they just hug their animal, right? They cuddle their dog, and it's like they get energy. So that life force energy. Then there's like emotional energy. Then there's mental energy. Then there's your energy that I call relational, but ties into your heart, ability to receive and give in relationship. And then you have what I would call the higher mind, which is tied into more your ability to create meaning and optimize your life. And then there's what I would call your soul, that part of you that transcends the thinking mind. And then you have your connection to the infinite universe all around you. So there's like those layers. As you go out further from the physical body, it is an experience of more expansion into those higher sort of dimensions of your energy field. So for you, you're really connected. Everyone who knows you, has been around you, or even tunes into you and sees you in some of your shows and things that you do, knows that you have a radiance and a vibration that is just, it brings a lot, you bring a lot of joy and light. And you're very connected. So when I go off your body very far, 4, 5, 6 feet off your body, you open up, there's freedom, there's flow. So I would say you're very resourced in that part of your energy blueprint.
Okay.
Where your sense of yourself and the universe become blended into one. You also are very connected into your emotional body in a way where what I feel with you is in your blueprint, sometimes we get energized by that energy within ourselves, and sometimes it's takes other things outside of our other people to bring about that awareness. So for you and your energy body of your emotions, that part of your body, when you're around others, it lights up your emotions. It's more challenging the way you're kind of wired. It would be more challenging often to feel your own emotions by yourself without some reference from others. So there are things about the energy blueprint. I'm not saying you don't feel deeply. The expression of and the ability to just connect into it pulls you into relationship with others in a way that also helps you give your gifts of being plugged into the universe and being totally this light. I mean, even when I was working with you on the table, you're feeling golden light and energy.
I always feel golden light.
Yes, so you're very golden. That's the part of the energy blueprint that's your connection into that infinite field. That limitless
see
field.
That sign real quick? That's what that feels like. When you work on me, that Carrie Ann Conversations sign, the way the gold sparkles off, that's so interesting. I never even put that together because that is when I'm feeling my best.
Yes.
Is what I feel like, and that's what this series is all about. Is trying to spread the joy and spread awareness. But wait, you talked about something that I wanted to go back to.
Emotions,
I'll come back
relationship with others. So
relationship with others. Okay,
so like
that can lead to codependence. So I just want to take some of these terms that are so kind of out there, right, and bring them into what people are struggling with in terms that they'll more understand. That leads me to being a little bit codependent, and I'm an anxious attachment style. I attach people very quickly, and it's really hard for me to detach from people. And you think that could be part of the reason why?
Yeah, I think like our attachment styles and how we were wired in the beginning of how what we learned in our early years of life absolutely influences what parts of our blueprint get activated. The blueprint I see as something that's there. It's like you come into this world with it, and then how you activate it or what parts you're using and what parts maybe you're not using as effectively is something that can be learned. And so if you had anxious attachment and you learn to kind of grasp and hold and get into these more codependent relationships, then connecting to the emotional part of your energy body, this emotional part of your blueprint, you can learn how to feel and experience in relationship with others without dysfunctionally attaching. That you can start to take responsibility for your patterns, but allow the expression of that energy, and then learn how to actually begin to feel your own emotions without necessarily that grasping or attachment more effectively. So there's ways to work with this blueprint that kind of frees you up from the attachments, frees you up from the conditioning. And this is like, there's an art and a science to it, and it's something that we'll eventually make available to people to actually check, what is my blueprint? How do I work
that's
with
going to be great.
So that's coming.
That's very exciting, because I think that's going to help a lot of people. You just talked about the relationships, and my previous style was, I think, a very codependent style. But I want to know, because I've been working on myself a lot in the last 8 months. I want to know if you noticed a shift in the way my energy flowed, and if you noticed a difference from the last time we worked together to now, because I've done a lot of work.
One of the things that I noticed with you is there's a part of the blueprint that's the life force energy, or you could call it the etheric body. Basically, it's that sense of life force. Right?
Life force, yes.
Life force. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm vital. Right? So that for you, and also that energy and that consciousness tied into that energy is around survival and around certainty and needing to like keep it all together. And if we feel challenged and we don't feel like we have enough like flow of life force, we tend to tighten up and shrink and contract because we're trying to just stay safe. And so what I noticed, that's fight or flight, and freeze mode. So we freeze it all up because it's like, I don't feel like I have enough energy to make it through. So if I freeze it all up, I'll be safe. I'll somehow be able to get through this.
Hold my energy quiet.
So what I noticed for working with you today is that there was a more flow of life force. So in your energy blueprint, that was activated in a healthy way. And so the life force was flowing, which means you go from certainty, needing, like holding it all together, to like, I'm here, I'm in this body, I'm grounded, I'm present, I'm alive, and I'm safe in the world. And that is the foundation when that's energized. And so when that's flowing, that's the experience. And so when I started working with you, it was immediately flowing. So that tells me like whatever work you've been doing in the time since we've worked together, you've shifted from that vigilant, like protective, like high needing certainty survival mode to, more safety, more presence with your body. And so that was one of the challenges that has been going on for you, and it's for a lot of people. It's that some people can connect to that, like the way you're wired. It's easy for you to connect to your connection, your where you and the universe can merge. You can connect to that more easily than some people. The challenge for you was like staying connected to that while also coming into your body and being here in this physical body. And so that's where I see a huge shift. Like you were both expanded, connected in that way, and grounded at the same time and present in your body, which means you get to have that like expanded state and feel open and feel free and feel like awake, and at the same time be here doing what you're made to do, which is, I know one of the things you're doing is spreading light, helping people. Mm-hmm.
I think it's important. I think deep down we all do.
Yeah.
I think some of us are just afraid. So hopefully this inspires people to also do what they can in their own world to help other people in some way. In one of our episodes we talked about contribution and how deeply important it is to have contribution as a part of your lifestyle. But I want to just talk about the healing really quickly.
Yeah.
In the healing, I move a lot. And in your healing video with Julianne that went viral, you got a lot of press, and some people were like, is that an exorcism? And there's naysayers like, what is that? Just curious, like, what do you say to that? Like, it's not an exorcism. I mean, I can speak to it maybe. Because it just feels like your body just moves. I don't understand it. And some of it I'm doing because I feel good.
Yes.
Some of it is intentional because I'm letting things out.
Yes.
Some of it is not intentional. I'm like, what happened?
Yes. Yeah, I think, where that video you mentioned came out, someone had video in Davos at the World Economic Summit.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a very, we're in Switzerland and it's a very kind of stiff environment, economic finance. And so we're doing this demonstration and all of a sudden here's this person exploding with sound and expressing, movement in this like very dramatic way. So people were like, what is this? Right. So is it an exorcism? Because when do you see people move like that?
True.
Well, you see people move like that when they're dancing,
That's
right? Right. You see people moving like that when they're actually emoting and having like real expression of emotion. So it's just that, it's the context, right? This comes back to that conditioning, like when is appropriate, when isn't appropriate to move your body in these ways and express. So in the sessions, that's a really a safe place for you to just let it go. So there's a combination of when working with the energy field or that blueprint, each level or layer of the blueprint has a different effect in the physical. Just like if you hold a magnet over a bunch of pieces of metal, it'll move the metal. That that magnetic field will influence the physical. Right. So the same thing happens in our bodies. Our sensory system is picking up information and it's influencing the way our body's going to move and respond. So like if you're driving in your car and you look in the rearview mirror and you see flashing lights, you might think like there's a highway patrol behind you. You might have a tension, stress, stop breathing, body tenses up. Are they going to pull me over? Fingers. Right? And then they go by and you're like, you feel the big release. Nothing touched you, just light, just vibrating, like, light seen in the mirror. Nothing touched your body, but your body responded and went into tension. The same thing can happen when something positive happens. You feel or sense like someone's energy field that inspires you, or you feel your own connection to a higher sense of yourself and energy. And all of a sudden it's like, your body opens up. And typically what happens is when you relax, you go into extension, your neck goes back, your heart lifts up, your arms open up. And so when I'm working with people, I'm working on those different levels of the energy field and I'm looking for the physiology and the anatomy to shift. And then there's a combination of it influences your body directly and your body will just respond and move like organically without you doing anything. And then there's a part of it where you're interactive, where you're like, this feels good. I'm going to explore that more. So someone like Julianne, who's a dancer and used to moving her body, is very free to express. And these are larger, kind of more expressive movements. And it seems very dramatic to someone who is not expecting to see something like that, right?
But I've seen footage of people who are not dancers tapping into that sort of movement. And what's beautiful about that also is it's a testament to you, because in order to feel safe enough to move, because they might be feeling it and might hold it back, right?
Yeah.
But you and your energy creates a very safe space to allow the person on the table, myself, I know for sure, and many other people, to release and be free and be completely authentic, which in life we are not always able to be that. And I think that's a beautiful gift you give people. When you touch those spots, how do you, like, you've talked about energy spots. What are those so that people can understand how you get in?
I think like let's link what we were just talking about with those places. So when you have a stress or an injury or a trauma, physical, emotional, psychological, someone experiences abuse, someone has a surgery, somebody has an accident, slip or fall, somebody has a loss of a loved one, they all create a similar kind of reaction in different ways, but where the body goes into fight or flight, it goes into protective mode. when that happens, you're tightening everything up. Your breath gets more shallow,
Mhm.
your nervous system goes under tension, your tissues of your body tighten up. And so there's a holding, right? And so when that energy starts flowing and releasing, there's a discharge of that, and that's where that movement can come from. So that movement comes from, there's movement of the spine as it's coming out of a kind of a holding pattern. The muscles and tendons are releasing, so someone might start vibrating, just like animals will shake after they have a stressful situation. That is a part of it. There's this discharge of energy as part of the we're letting down. So a lot of the movement comes out of that. And the way that I can start to, when I'm working with someone like on the table, or I'm teaching someone how to work with this themselves, we want to identify where are the places that you can have access to your energy. And the places that you have access are the places that are most open and most free flowing already, which is interesting because most people think, well, it's hurting here, it's tight here.
So it's not like acupuncture where you go to the pain and tight part.
Yeah, and interestingly, that the whole meridian system in acupuncture, when they work with those acupuncture points, they don't always go to the place like a really.
That's true.
Right? They'll go. True. They want to open up the flow of energy so that it like helps the whole system begin to relax.
So you go to the most open spot.
Yeah, I go to the most open. So it's like showing somebody, hey, you know that this is working really well, and they're like, oh wow, hey, I didn't think of that. And it's like, you're pretty amazing, and they're like, I think I am. And all of a sudden they start feeling like more resourced. So there's an element of that energetically with someone's body that if we show your brain how to associate with a place in your body that is actually already flowing, it starts, like that circuit starts building. It starts building that pattern. And then you go, oh, wow, I can actually breathe more easily here. Now I can start to unwind this. And that will actually guide you into starting to change things. And so I call that, it's generative, meaning you're putting your focus on something that's working and you're enhancing it.
I like that, like positive reinforcement.
Yeah. So we go, where's the energy already flowing? And let's get that flowing even more. And then that will spill over and like start drawing along the areas that are bound up. Technically, that's called entrainment in physics. Like you take something that's already flowing and you help it
spread it around.
And then it touches into the places that are bound up, and pretty soon you're like, oh, I feel more free and more free and more free. Instead of saying this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, this is what's tense, this is what's bound up.
Even just you talking about that makes me want to close up. Yeah.
So I think it's important not to just go, I only want to focus on what's great and not focus on what's not working. But so, because that can be like bypass, that can be just not
denial,
right? You're like, everything's great, everything's amazing, and then you're avoiding things. But to go to those places that are more challenged, to go to those places maybe where there's a relationship challenge or a physical injury or some process you're going through that's harder to be with. Let's see where we can connect that feels good, feels open, and then from there, let's start to take a journey into these other places. So that's always how I work. And so those spots you're asking about are like, I see them as like access points or portals, like little wormholes into the energy system.
I can feel it. It's just such a great feeling when you work on me. I love it. You talk a lot about free flow state. So the process is that you find the area that's already in motion, right? And you get in there and you spread it. And then sometimes our bodies react and sometimes we have emotional releases. Why is free flow state so important for people? And how does that help with healing?
I think like free flow or energetic flow, state of flow, one where everything is coordinated and efficient. Like there's no friction.
No friction.
That feeling of like frictionless when everything is working.
I've had a lot of friction.
Right. I think a lot of people can relate.
I like that word.
So that sense of effort, that is really when we feel effort, when we feel like we're having to really work at something, and it's just like we're stuck in it, we're hitting a wall, and it's just like like that's telling us we're not in flow. Energetically, it is not like flowing and easy. Now, I'm not saying that everything should be easy or that we shouldn't have like obstacles and challenges that we have to like work hard to overcome, etc. But if it's always effort, that's not the natural state. Our natural state, we're designed to be coherent is the word, really, where everything is working in relationship to the other parts of us, and the experience of being within our body and everything around us is all, it's just working.
Is that like harmony?
It is
the
harmony.
Concept of harmony,
Yeah.
peace, and when it's all sort of interactive. And what's so fascinating about you, and that I hope people will gain from this conversation, is that out of all the healing practitioners and modalities that I've worked with, yours seems from the outside the most, as we call, woo-woo, right? But whenever I sit down and talk with you, it is the most grounded in science version of healing. And it's in itself, it shows the dichotomy that you're talking about, right? In your practice itself, your scientific approach, based in so much reality and facts, and then this sort of spiritual, unseen, invisible energy that people have a harder time conceptualizing and understanding, and they come together in this format of healing that you've created, and that you've tapped into, I would probably say is better, and that you've formulated and made your own. One of the concepts you've also taught me about from our earlier work was grounding and going outside and putting my feet in the earth. Why is that important? Especially because I like to be out here.
Yes.
Why is that important?
Yeah, it's important for a number of reasons. Like that sense of being grounded and connected to your body, and at the same time being expanded and connected to the universe all around you is an integrated approach. Like some people have more challenge feeling their connection to something greater, something transcendent. Some people have an easy time, like you, connecting to that transcendent part of you, but more challenge like actually grounding and connecting to your body. And so it's important because the grounding also connects you into the life force energy, which is that first layer of your blueprint. And that life force energy is what is involved in all the functions of your body beneath the radar, so to speak, that you don't have to think about: your heart beating, your immune system working, your repair and regeneration, your digestion. All of that is connected to that life force energy. And so grounding and connecting and feeling your presence with your body right here in this time and space is what helps you stay
in the present.
It helps you stay in the present, it helps you stay vital, and it helps you stay in flow in the physical, versus just sort of leaving your body to go into these higher states that don't have a connection to this time and space.
It's fascinating, this whole journey to wellness that I've taken and started this series, Carrie Ann Conversations, about. I have learned that it really is a lot of work. And not in a forceful way, but there are so many layers to healing, and this inner and outer and spirit, large and small, and it takes intention. And I think that we all just thought that healing and wellness was just a God-given gift and right, that if you live your life with integrity and you're kind to people, you're just going to have wellness. If you eat decently, you're going to have wellness. But wellness is so much more than that. And I think what you've given to the world through your gift is a very clear, even though it doesn't seem so at first, a very clear understanding of how it all comes together and how to work with energy and sort of being a human in this body and the limitations of this body, but also being able to be our fullest self. And I just want to thank you, because you're amazing, and your work with me has helped me tremendously. I have grown so much. I've healed so much. I'm so grateful to you. So thank you. And thanks for coming by to my house today and just doing our little Carrie Ann Conversations in my gym. I appreciate it. How do people, if they want more access to you, how can people find you? People can find me on my website, which is johnamaral.com. They have an opportunity to access my 7-day challenge, which is taking them through the layers of the energy blueprint and teaching them how to do practices and processes on their own to get an experience of this. And that's called the Fight or Flight to Flow in 7 Days Challenge, right? Yes. And it's free, you guys. Get in there. Yeah, and they can find me on Instagram at Dr. John Amaral. And you also do private healings, and people can reach out for you that way as well. Yes, you can get all that information from my website, johnamaral.com. Okay. For more information on Dr. John Amaral, go to johnamaral.com. You can check out the Fight or Flight to Flow in 7 Days Challenge. It's free, remember that, so you can all sign up for that. And I just want to thank you for everything and for all that you put to the world. You're amazing.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
You're amazing.
You're amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for everything.
Yes.
So I hope that this conversation has helped you all in some way, shape, or form, that something about what we talked about resonated with you and inspires you to make your life a little bit better. Remember that it takes effort, but it's okay. So it's good. It's okay to put that effort into yourself. Give yourself permission to go wherever feels right for you to heal. All right. And a reminder that you can find every episode of Carrie Ann Conversations, Journey to Wellness on YouTube and on my website, www.carrieannconversations.com. And thank you so much for joining us today. Have a beautiful day. Mwah!